Well, hello there, City Skylines enthusiasts, and welcome back to Flyvox Talks Cities, the podcast based around our beloved city building simulation, City Skylines. My name is Flyvox, and I am here today with the one and only Tchelow. Hi, Tchelow. Welcome to the show.
Hello there, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you all. If you don't know me, I'm Tchelow. I have a YouTube channel, I have a TikTok channel, and we have a big community of City Skylines players, and we also play some other things in the channel as well that all related to city building. And the main goal for us is to really have fun, be supportive, and just build up the community. We're not there for numbers or anything like that. We're just there to have fun, build something really nice, and as I always say, just add one more tree to the game because that's what I do in my channel, add trees everywhere. But I'm really pleased to be here with you, Flyvox, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be talking to you today and having a really chat about City Skylines and all our nice community.
Very nice. Before we get into City Skylines, we got to talk about the predecessor. Cities 2 was announced this year. It will release on October 24th. And I wanted to ask you, Tchelow, how did you experience the announcement trailer for City Skylines 2? And how did you feel while you were watching it?
So that's a great story, right? Because, well, I'm in Australia, if you don't know it, and everything here is at odd times. So I like things like Formula One. Every single race is at 2 or 3 a.m. And City Skylines is kind of the same thing. The announcement always comes up at very early in the morning and usually the time that I'm sleeping. So what I've done, I talked with my community and we actually organized a live stream for the Paradox announcement. We didn't know what was going to happen in there. We were just excited for hearing some good news about City Skylines. But because they made this as a big announcement, they announced it everywhere, we thought it should be something really big. So I set up a live stream. I live streamed the event on my channel as well. And I was with the community. I think it was around 2 a.m. and the announcement was close to 3 a.m. I'll be honest, I didn't sleep at all that day. It was pretty awesome. Everyone was really, really excited. And when the video for the City Skylines came up with all those starting showing the roots under the soil, I remember all that. And then like showing the pipes and that following under the earth and going up to the pole light and showing like the city at the back. Oh, that was so awesome. Like I was so pumped about that and sharing and talking with the community. I don't know if I make the announcement worse or better because like I couldn't shut up and I was talking so much throughout the whole thing. But it was really fun to watch this with the community. I think I did the right thing there because especially announcements like this for us in Australia, we usually watch it later because, again, we are all sleeping at that time. But doing this together and having that live feedback, not just for how I was feeling, but how the whole community that was there watching with me was also reacting and pointing things out. And is this how it's going to look? Is this the way that the game is going to work? What's this? What is that? And it was really awesome. It was worth not sleeping that day. And I would totally do that again.
That was a good call for sure. Yeah, I can remember when I saw that trailer and as you described again with the soil and the little seed and the plant popping up, I was like, it's like, oh my God, that was so amazing, right? I felt so hyped about that and like instantly was feeling happy because like it's such a cool moment to witness that trailer and the announcement of City Skylines 2. Super, super epic for sure.
It was. We always talked about City Skylines 2 as a thing, like it was that dream that everyone had that we want a new game, we want something better, we want something more modern with this, with that. And it was like we're never expecting something like that to happen in my head like so soon. But if we think about the lifespan of the game, like the first one was released in 2015, so it was more than time to have that. But in any case, like the music was great, the graphics were pretty good. Seeing that we might have seasons in the game at that point was fantastic. It really set a high bar for everything that we could expect. And I think, I'll be honest, I'm still pumped.
And yeah, and I am too. I am too as well. I can't wait. I can't wait to get my hands on the game and play it. So
Yeah, yeah.
that official announcement trailer, it wasn't actual gameplay footage, right? So there was a disclaimer at the bottom. It wasn't gameplay footage. I mean, it didn't stop me from breaking the trailer down like 3 times and like trying to find stuff or details that might be in the game, but it turns out all that was teased were the seasons back then. But shortly after, an actual gameplay trailer released for City Skylines 2 as well. What did you think about that gameplay trailer when you first saw that?
Yeah, definitely. I just want to say that because of City Planner, I had a lot of information that were not true. Because on his video, like he was breaking everything down, and obviously I was watching everyone's video, not just mine. I did the same. I stopped the video every second, look at every single detail. We knew it wasn't real footage, but didn't stop us to try to figure something out. I watched City Planner, and he was talking about, oh, this looks an asset for Unreal Engine. And as you know, Unreal Engine is something that's been very recent and one of the best engines for gaming at the moment.
Yeah.
And this will be the engine. This will look like this. And then I went down like a rabbit hole that like I'm ashamed to say that I went there, but I was mistaken. Obviously, he was mistaken, and we all came out later and said, "Look, this is not really how this is gonna play, right? We have to put our foot to the ground here and understand how it all works." But then, as you mentioned, we got the actual gameplay trailer footage, and I think obviously graphics weren't as good as the launch trailer because, well, this is actual game footage, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't stop me to be even more excited. And the reason for that is because it did show a lot of improvements in basically several areas of the game, a lot of things that we were asking for and things that we believed that we could do in the game, but we weren't able because of we didn't have mods, or actually we had the mods, but if we're a console player, I've been a console player before as well, you don't have access to those tools, and that's not actually possible. If you don't have a powerful enough computer, you can't do certain things. And when I saw that, I was like, whoa, that's all in there. And now I'm keen to know what else is in there because there's so much details on this. I remember, I think one of the first scenes of the trailer was showing a shot from above the highway and all those cars, and then you have incredibly complex junction for that highway, like with a ramp going out. That ramp had traffic lights and had some ground markings, and then you have like speed markings on the ground, and it was like all the detailing that I spent like hours and hours with intersection marking tools. They're just there, all for free. I was like, that's amazing. And then obviously, I think graphics are still a huge step forward and a big improvement from City Skylines 1. They're moving away from that cartoonish look from most of the things. At least I've seen some that are still keeping I think for reference for City Skylines, it's good to keep some of those things, but they're moving towards more a realistic scenario instead of more cartoonish kind of style for assets, buildings, like all that sort of stuff. And this is just like added a lot of questions to the plate. It's like how the traffic would work, what you can build. It seems like we can build bigger buildings. Is that really true? Is that building looks like it might have mixed zoning, like feels like it's shopping at the bottom and residential at the top.
Yeah.
Is that really how it's gonna work? So it's like it creates so much questions, and like there were so many things in going through my mind that I was like, I can't even put all of that into words at that time because there was so much going on. And after experiencing the first game for a few years, I was like, that's almost everything that I can see. is everything that I've been asking for. And then there was even a joke on, I don't remember if it was on TikTok or on one of my shorts on YouTube, that someone said, oh, the only thing that needs now is some traffic accidents. And I was like, yeah, that would be great, but they would never do it. And oh man, I was so wrong.
Oh yeah, 100%. Before we get into that though, you already mentioned like the visuals of the game going away from the cartoonish look of the first one of City Skylines 1. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about these overall visuals of Cities 2 that we've seen in all the footage so far?
Yeah, I'm really excited for that because I like it quite a lot. I have a feeling that there are still a lot of things that we haven't seen in the game, especially how you tuning those graphics. I think you can. I've seen some footage that gives me a little bit of an indication that you might be able to change a few things. I don't know if they have some sort of like let's implement it in the graphics, or it depends on the team. I don't know if I'm even right, but that's what I feel like you'll be able to do, like tweak at least a little bit, especially when you're doing the capturing footage and all the cinematics that they showed to us. Some of them look slightly different. Even like the speed of the game could be something done in post just for the dev diaries and all that information. But I
Oh,
think that's something
right.
that'll be able to do. But if we can't, that's all right. We again, the graphics are a lot better. I think it's a great improvement on the previous game, and obviously we have an awesome mod community. We can talk a little bit about that later as well if you want to, but we definitely will have some mods that we can push things even further, and that's where I believe that'll be really powerful. I do believe that we will have the option to change things like Team Mixer on Skylines 1. It's a great mod. You can basically change everything. And I think I can see already places where we might be able to use something like that and to change things, like instead of using traffic lights from the American team, we can use traffic lights from the European team or things like that and mix and match those things. Now, with that said, I still think there are areas where they need to do some work. And namely, I've seen some assets and decals that might still need to be a little bit polished. One example of that is actually if you look at the decals on the roads, like when you have those arrows showing where you can turn right or left, things like that, approaching a roundabout. They are very, very sharp and they look really good. But if you look at the speed limits on the road, the decals are very blurry. So that is a kind of a mismatch that when you look from above, it doesn't look very good. Some of the buildings, they also have a very low poly quality. And one example that I have, I was looking at the footage, I think last week, for the public transportation and cargo transportation, and they show the harbor asset for cargo ships. And looking at that, I was like, why is it all so blurry? And and I think like obviously we are seeing footage from a pre-release game. They put a disclaimer as well in every single video. This is beta footage
Beta
or
version.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm all right with that. Like I think this is work in progress. This will get better. I've heard a lot of people saying we need more of this, we need more of that. This doesn't look good. Where are all the riders on the motorcycles? And I was like, yeah, that's coming. Don't worry. it's all a work in progress. I still rather watch these videos and get a little bit of insight, like every week, knowing a little bit more about the game than actually not knowing anything at all for 4 months. And I'm really excited for this. I don't think this is a problem right now. I think this might be all work in progress. I will actually just complain when the game is released, and then if I see something, then I'll be vocal about that. But for now, I think we are all good.
Oh yeah, I agree. Like also think it's a bit too early to say, "Oh, but I want this and I want that and this doesn't look good. This won't work." And just wait until the game, releases till we could see some more polished gameplay, not from beta version or whatever it says there in the disclaimer. But we'll see. And yeah, I just love that we're getting like weekly updates, or not updates, but
Yeah.
weekly like these dev diaries and dev insights on the game. By the time this podcast releases, we will have four dev diaries released: the Road Tools, Traffic AI, Public Transport, and Zones and Signature Buildings. Let's talk a bit about those, Cello. You have probably seen those, and what do you think of these features that we now know are implemented? Like you've already mentioned, like the smooth ramps on the highway, right? We have the ability to toggle traffic lights on or off. It's like a TMPE light version mod. We have a roundabout builder. The traffic AI has completely changed. Let's just talk a bit about that. What do you think about all of those features? What stood out to you the most?
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, I think it's putting up a disclaimer here is always a good thing. I'm lucky enough to participate in a group of creators with Colossal Order and Paradox to have early access to a lot of the DLCs for City Skylines, and we also have access to all these videos in advance. Usually we know it a few days before it goes out, so we can also prepare our videos and do a review. So I get a lot of questions. Oh, do you have early access to the game? I don't yet. I haven't played it, but we that participate on this group, we will all have early access to the game. Down the line, it's still too early for that. We understand that as well. But this is how we managed to create these videos for you, and how we managed to release them at almost the same time as Paradox and Colossal Order do as well. Obviously, we all add our flair to it. We add our reviews. We add our excitement. Most often than not, it's not as professional. It's just us trying to guess a lot of things in there. But with that out of the way, like I think it's good to put it out there because I do get that question quite a lot, and this is why we managed to do this and how we do that as well. Obviously, we have a lot of NDAs in place. We can't talk about anything that you haven't seen yet or that's not out there by Paradox itself, but we work with them very closely to understand what's coming and to be able to provide you with as much information as possible as well. In terms of the features that we've seen so far, so I think you're completely right there, Flyvox. It has been fantastic, first and foremost, to see all of these details in so much depth, and how everything works and what we will actually have available in the game. Because just looking at some footage from a game trailer or just like an in-game footage, things like that, it gives you, as I mentioned before, more questions than actually answer anything. And the amount of information they've been releasing on every single of these dev diaries and dev insights, they have been like so much content and so much rich information on how the game works and how everything actually interacts together. So, for example, the first one was the road tools, and we were able to see in a lot of details how a lot of the tools that we didn't have in the base game before and that we rely solely on mods were almost all integrated in the base game. Out of the box, you just install the game and you have all those wonderful tools for you to work with. I think that is fantastic, knowing how that works, like having parallel roads, roundabout builder, and that is one that I'm most excited about because I built
Yeah,
roundabouts everywhere.
yeah,
And
same.
yeah, and it's like you don't need to, especially if you're on console. I can't talk enough about this because I know the pain of console players as well. I build on PC, but as I have experience with console, I know the pain in building something, like getting the right angle or the right distance between 2 points on a curve on console and to create your roundabout. It's hard work. And even on PC, like even if you need to sometimes or install some, pay attention to the measurement units that you have available, or install a mod to actually automatically create a roundabout. I usually do both, but it's still, it's not as easy because it's not there. It should be something that is as easy as what they did. And I think that was a big improvement. And then that created some questions about, okay, but how this all actually impact, or how this actually work with the traffic that you have. And then the next dev diary came in, and we have that beautiful traffic AI that we can now
Yeah.
see. And most of the concerns, this is one of the things that I've been enjoying the most, and I can thank like Paradox and Colossal for enough for doing something like this, which is listening to feedback and putting all our comments and all our struggles, and not just our comments as content creators, but as gamers, like everyone in the community, everyone that's going in the forums, in their Discord channel, in our Discord channel, in Reddit, everywhere. They are listening to those feedbacks, and they are putting things in place, like why the traffic is not using all the lanes, for example, why pathways are created just once and then cars can change it. This is not realistic. People will change their mind, especially if they know that that is an issue down the line in their route. Then you have like this road that's completely packed and everyone just stuck in one lane, and then roads on the side of that going to the same place completely free. So all of those improvements have been just so good to see. And I think like there's so much to talk in here, and it's hard to be able to pick just one thing and unpack that, because each individual information that they released, they actually made a lot of impact in other areas. So for example, traffic AI improve how you can actually get your goods from industry to commerce. And then you have the next dev diary, where you talk about creating your own traffic routes for cargo transportation.
Yeah.
That is like, that changed the game, because then you have to think, all right, how does that impact? And then you look at the information in dev diary, and then you notice that, oh, well, the closer the industry is for the commercial buildings, the cheaper it will be for them to sell those goods, which means that they have a high margin of profit, and that you actually make more money from them because of that. So it changed the way you play, because now you're thinking about, it's not just putting like industry in the corner because they're an ugly thing, then add a cargo train station in there, and that's it, and everything is connected. No, you have to think about distance. You have to think about the cost. Will they have access to where they want to go? And now we have information about, the more you sell to outside connections a specific type of product, the less they want their product, because you are oversaturating the market, and then prices will start to go down over the time. So like, you see things like that, and you start thinking everything is now interconnected. There is no one decision that you make that you just like make the decision and forget about it. It's not like City Skylines, that you had that formula to get the game going and have like a good basis for your city, get your tax right, get your road system right, some public transportation, some services, and everyone is happy. It's not like that anymore. Everything has a specific way to impact on how things goes. This last week with the zoning and signature buildings, where you see that you have like what are you calling rent as well. I have a lot of questions about what's the difference between rents and taxes. And again, that is every single one that comes with more questions that I believe we will get answers down the line. But with all of that, and we have like things like, oh, now you have homeless people, and if a building actually goes vacant, they can be occupied by homeless people.
Yeah.
But because there is no one actually maintaining that building, the building might collapse. It's like, how does it affect the homeless people that are living there? How do I avoid people being homeless? How, like, if the building collapses and they might be in the building, is that like, do we need ambulance to go there? We know that with the traffic accidents, if they hit a a pedestrian, they actually get injured and the ambulance needs to be calling that. There was a message, I believe, on Twitter from Paradox about that. It's like there's all those things now that they impact everything that how the game work. They are so much interconnected, like real life, right? It's like in real life, if you have a traffic accident, you need to call an ambulance, you need to call police sometimes, and they need to get there. But if there is traffic, how they get there, and then you have the option to cut traffic. You have the option to not allow turns, for example, for emergency service vehicles to get there, and then this causes traffic. This delays how you get to your workplace, and while you delay to get there, the place doesn't have the full workforce, so it's not functioning at full capacity and not producing as much goods as it could. So you start thinking about this, and it's like it's a very complex game from the onset. Like
Yes.
it's really different. I'm seeing like the first time I play this, my city will last like for 5 minutes, and I'll have to start again because I'll have no idea how to get that done.
Probably, yeah. That's also something that I really thought for myself. It's like, wow, this game is going hard on realism, right? Like everything seems so real in the game. Like not visually, but like the mechanics, how everything works, how you said like everything is intertwined. You know, everything depends on the next thing to work, to function properly. You really have to be careful as the mayor of your city to have everything working properly. And I mean, just like the road tools video, I mean, the traffic accidents, come on, parallel mode, the roundabout builder, like that one was so amazing. But the traffic AI, the overhaul was, for me, was like the most amazing thing that I've seen, with like cars actually overtaking slower cars, using the lanes, you know, giving way to EMS, and having service vehicle, you know, do like these U-turns to get faster to their destination, police cars patrolling, but they can get called to crimes and stuff. And it's like, oh my God, it's so, it's just so realistic. And I love that. I just love that, and I hope that I hope that my first city could last 5 minutes. I'm not sure if it can, because it feels like it's going to be a very difficult, complex game. But also, I'm up for the challenge, man. I just want to play the game. Like I'm so excited for that. You also
I can't wait for it as well.
yeah, right. It's like, oh my God. You also already mentioned modding community. How strong do you think the modding community will be for City Skylines 2?
Well, I think if it's not the same, it's gonna be better. And the reason why I believe this is on a daily basis, like we have a lot of contact with the current modders on City Skylines 1, and I help translating some of the mods that are out there, and I have like daily contacts with them and test newer versions of the mods as well. And what I believe that happened is that in City Skylines 1, there was a period, and was a long period, where all the mods that we had were very individual for specific things. And what's been happening since then is that with maturity, with more involvement with Colossal Order and Paradox, having early access to the games as well and DLCs, and creating a community of modders only, where they could actually talk amongst themselves and come up sometimes with solutions together. The way the mods have been developed have changed quite a lot. And being a former developer as well, I understand that a little bit. But how things are now structured, and how the dependencies that they need, it's all very mature, and everything that is released. If you see when we have a new version of City Skylines, all the mods, basically in less than 24 hours, all the mods that we use almost every day, they're all up to date. And the reason for that is because they are all working together. They have a system of work now that make things a lot easier, and the information that they have from the developers is also very good. They have support, and I think we can bring all this maturity straight into City Skylines 2 and actually start from a much better point from what we had in City Skylines 1. We had mods that would crash the game. We had
Yeah.
mods that would actually make the performance really awful. And when you look at the changes that were made along the way and the new mods that sometimes people complain, why are replacing these mods? And sometimes it's a modder that's not working anymore with the community. Like life happens, this is not their daily job, so we understand that.
Hmm.
But we have other people that take that over and take it to the next level as well. And I think it has been an amazing community to work with, as much as people like to complain that, oh, all mods break the game. Yeah, but in the next day, it's all working. Like, come on, these guys are working full weeks.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't like nobody's forcing you to use mods, right? So if you're
Yeah,
not if you're
exactly.
not happy with it, just don't complain. But like, and as you said, it gets fixed like in one day, and everything is fixed.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, like, I'm more than happy to help any issues that people might have. Sometimes they get to my Discord server and they're saying, oh, everything, this last update broke my game. It's like, did it really? Like, what's your, like, send me your reports. And then they send the reports. First, they don't know how to send the reports.
Yeah.
Then you get them to get that done. They send the reports and you look at the mods that they're using. It's like it's not being maintained for 3-4 years already.
Okay.
There are other mods that they should be using. And you look at things like that, it's like, yes, I think it's one of the things that people don't actually get much is that you have to keep up on top of your mods because they're not being just updated. Sometimes they've been changed. Sometimes the developer is not there anymore and there is a new release and the mod doesn't keep up with the changes. And if you want to play modded games, you need to keep informed about what's happening. Keep an eye out for what are the compatible mods that you have. That is an awesome tool that was released recently, which is called Skyve, Skyve. It's a mod that's replacing load order mod, I believe, and the compatibility reports. They put it all together. All these modders work together to create this tool and put it all together. This tells you exactly what mods work together or not. If you have some mod that might have some bugs, if you should replace which mod you should use to replace that, and tools like that are really powerful. If you play modded game, the tools are out there, and I'm more than happy to help anyone that needs any help in there. But I think using tools like this is the first step for you to get any issues sorted and make sure that you have stable games. Like my current city, I've been playing for, I believe, over a year now. And how many updates we had in the last year in the City Skylines? 3 updates, DLCs, content creator packs, and my game is still running. I have no issues with that. And I do use around 60 mods. So it's like you have some issues from time to time, but you have tools to help you figure that out. And I can't thank enough all the modders that work like very, very hard to get all these tools for us. And I do believe that there will be a lot of new opportunities, a lot of new tools and ways to work with mods in City Skylines 2. And this will just get better. That's my prediction.
I'm all for it. Yes, I 100% agree with everything you said. Yeah, so I also sometimes can't understand like people are always complaining about mods and stuff like that. Like I'm like what I just said. Like you don't have to use mods. You don't need to, right? But if you do,
Yeah.
like just be aware and keep track of like anything that changes within the mods that you have. But yeah, that's a thing apparently. But so
Yeah.
City Skylines 1. Let me know, Tchelow, how did you first hear about the game, and is there anything or anyone that inspired you to play City Skylines?
I've been playing City Skylines since 2016, which is just 1 year after
Yeah.
the release. The way I discovered it was simply recommendations on Steam. So
Oh,
nothing really exciting there. What I did love before that was the Sin City franchise, and well, most of the Sin City franchise, let's say. I saw the game. I was really itching for a good city builder and something that would actually keep that good experience from previous SimCity versions. And I had to give it a try, right? But unfortunately, I had a very old MacBook at the time.
oh,
And so there are two things there. Well, still nowadays, MacBooks are not like gaming computers, but they're getting better. But those days, it was just like not good enough. And the computer was already old at that time. And so I'll say I didn't have a good experience. I was potentially running, I don't know, a 3 FPS, if anything. But then I stopped playing the game and I came back in 2019. I started
oh.
playing on console, and so it was like there is a big gap in there. And I started playing on console and was like, oh, this is actually much better than I remember. I think I got it from the PlayStation Pass, or I don't remember how they call it because it's been a long time since I played any PlayStation games.
Yeah, I think it's
But
PS Plus or something. Yeah.
PS Plus, yes, that's it. Thank you. But yeah, I had in there. I got the game for free. I started playing there, and I was like, this is really cool. And then I built a new PC on that same year for different reasons. But then I started playing it for real, and it was fantastic. Like I only after I actually started playing on the console and on PC that year, I actually was able to enjoy the game. First, I played full vanilla, especially on PC, and for that full year was just vanilla game. And I think what happened in there is that I started getting like more interest in what was happening, how you build this, how you build that, getting ideas,
Mm-hmm.
looking at other YouTubers to have some ideas. And I found a guy, funny enough, from Australia, and he's a city planner here in Australia. His name is Sam Burr, and unfortunately he doesn't play the game anymore. I really loved his style, how he walk you through his builds and his creativity in general. It was like a great builder. I start to have like some ideas that helped me quite a lot, and actually I think it unlocked something inside me that that was a little bit stuck in understanding a little bit more about mods and their role in the game. I'll be honest, before that, most of the games I never used any mods, and after City
Oh.
Skylines, I'm a lot more comfortable in using mods on games now. I had a feeling that this would actually make the experience worse when using mods. But when I saw what you could unlock by adding a mod, like for example, Traffic Manager, you basically can do everything you want to help with your traffic
Yeah.
and make cars turn this way or that way. And I started looking at that, it was like, oh, that actually helps. And then you start adding one mod, another mod, and all of a sudden, like you can't go back. But I think this helped me quite a lot. And that's how I started playing. And there's not one that inspired me to start playing the game, but I think if anyone helped me develop more interest for the game, and especially for adding and working with mods to actually be able to build what I built today, was Sunbird, which is a fantastic creator. His videos are still on YouTube. If anyone wants to check, I highly recommend it. They're a little bit old, but they're still really valid. He talks a lot of things like City Planner does, about how to plan your city. He does have a different take, completely different experience in especially his he grew in Australia, so the way he builds is also hits very close to home for me, and it looks really, really nice and gives you a lot more ideas as well. So yeah, check it out. I think that's worth it.
Cool. We can link the channel in the description of the YouTube video for sure. So eventually you decided to start, a YouTube channel to start creating content. But my question is, was City Skylines 1 related to you starting your creating content journey?
Yeah, it wasn't at all. So I think it was the fourth game that I've played in my channel, actually.
Oh,
The
okay.
the first one was Diablo 3. And funny you ask that because I did have I think a quiz on my community channel, community tab in my channel that was asking what was the first game I've played in my channel, and it was Diablo 3. That's why I know. Then I start playing The Universing, which is a game from the publisher Crytevo. I hope I'm saying their name right. But it's about you have a world and you have to build your cities in there and make your community actually go to space, like
Oh,
put very simplistically, but it's a city builder. And then after that, I've played Software Inc., which is a game that I play almost every year on my channel. Like that, there is a season of that. I really like it. Only then I would say, confident enough to actually build my own city and start playing publicly. So I think there were a few things involved in there. When you're starting a YouTube channel, that was something very, very new for me. And I was, I still think I'm still learning, but I like to think that you never know everything. There is always something for you to improve. I still get feedback nowadays about one thing or another, and I try to incorporate that. I try to use that in my builds. But at that time, I was very, let's say, raw, and I didn't have enough skills to actually keep the commentary, or at least a good commentary, going on. And most of the times, I was just doing things like, I'm building this, I'm building that, and I'll put this down, and I'll put that down.
yeah.
But I wasn't really talking about why I'm making those decisions, which is probably why people are interested in watching the videos, right? It's like they're not there to see just you mentioning, I'm putting this tree here, I'm putting this bench over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
This is not what they're there for. When you start learning and you start getting feedback and you start watching yourself and thinking, oh, is that my voice? Is that how I sound for people? And like you start creating this self-awareness, and it was very uncomfortable for me at the beginning. And I still have my videos up in there if you want to see. They're all in there. I'm not ashamed. I think I'm actually proud of where I am right now from where I started. But I think my first city on the channel was still very boring in terms of watching, because I still had a lot of I'm doing this and doing that and
Yeah.
not really talking through. It just more recently where I actually changed my style quite a lot, and I started not taking people through the journey of the building, but taking them through the thought process of the building itself. So I'm not focusing, if you look at my channel nowadays, I don't focus on the actual build itself. So usually my time lapses, they are very quick. They don't last longer than 2-3 minutes. But I do have a period before that where I talk about the concept, I talk about the ideas, the whys, and then I start doing the builds, and then that's the quick time lapse. And then I come back and say all the decisions that I made, what worked, what didn't work, what I had to change, and why I changed that. I know that I went on a big tangent here from your question, but I think it's an interesting journey as well as a content creator, that you learn quite a lot and you change a lot. And although City Skylines wasn't my first, wasn't the first game that I played in the channel, this is certainly the core of what I do today. And mostly all my content is related to City Skylines. I still do reviews on other games. I do live streams on other games. I do Let's Play. I love playing other city builders. I love playing or trying indie games. Sometimes I get games from Steam Next Fest, for example. There are a new demo in there that you can just download and play. I love getting those and having a quick look and creating a video about that, going through my experience, learning together. There's a lot more content than just City Skylines, but today I think City Skylines is what moves my channel and my community along with that as well. So everything is kind of related to city builders, and there's always something that you can bring back and but it's still like the what I enjoy the most nowadays, and what I play the most as well. So even in my spare time, you probably see me playing cities and creating intersections and things like that, plopping down trees. So this is basically what my channel became, just because the game is very enjoyable, and I think people like it. So we keep doing it.
Yeah, very nice. That sounds pretty cool. I like that you're still like sort of a variety content creator. That's pretty cool. Nice that that works very well for you. Super cool with the focus on city skylines. But that's amazing. Yeah, sounds pretty good.
It also helps me keeping things interesting for myself as well. If I play too much of the same thing for too long, I tend to get a little bit bored. But
Yeah.
if I put a different game here and there, uh, and I like to create content as well, and share the experience. You see a lot of first plays that I do, and let's tries and things like that, just to share that first experience playing the game. And this keeps things, especially for myself, a lot more interesting. And if I'm enjoying what I'm doing, it's much easier to create content. So that's why I keep this flair of trying different things and not just keeping strictly city skylines, because I will enjoy it more, and hopefully my viewers will see that I'm enjoying it as well, and I'm bringing some content that I'm actually happy to put out there for them to actually watch. And I think that's all about that. Really enjoying your time and what you're doing, and making something a little bit entertaining, a little bit informative, a little bit educational, a little bit of everything in there for everyone to have a little bit of flavor in what they're watching. But yeah, it's been working fine, and so far, so good.
Very cool. And it's super important that you enjoy what you're doing. Otherwise it will show, and yeah, it won't last long, because if you don't like what you're doing in creating content, then yeah, that's not a journey you should probably take then. So I do understand that 100%.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, speaking of enjoying things, what do you enjoy most about City Skylines?
Oh, it's probably one of the things that people do the least in the game, which is just to stop and watch the scenes in the game. It's usually, I love like just to stop from time to time and see that they are walking on the streets, that they are visiting a park, or
Mm-hmm.
that is a very busy traffic light junction or intersection, and just to watch like the flow of the cars. Is that working well? Is that not? And there are so many details that we often overlook when we are just building the game. Um, and sometimes I do like shorts or TikTok, just kind of a first person view of a specific set in a specific area of the city, where you have like sometimes just the water behind, like on a river, and then you have some trees, and you have like the seagulls flying around, and you have someone just sitting at a bench on that park, just like that calm and just waiting for it. Or just like those views that you get in the game. Most of the assets, they have a lot of details that we don't
Yeah.
usually look. And it's very easy to overlook them, because there is so much in the game, so many buildings, so many assets. And I think this helps with that sense of realism, where like you have so many different things. It's like a real city. Nothing is quite alike, but it makes it very easy to overlook. But second to that, I think one of the things that I really enjoy doing the game, and I spend hours and hours off camera most of the time doing it, is just managing traffic. Getting the traffic right in the city is just, I don't know, it's so pleasing to me. It's
Yeah.
just seeing like the traffic flow going here and there is just like, it's very pleasing. One of those things that I have no idea why, but when you get it right, it's just so good.
Oh yeah, 100%. That can be so satisfying with traffic. I agree. That's also something I like. Or one of the
Yeah.
things I like most about the game is, maybe even fixing my own city with traffic, because I sometimes, in my city, traffic gets backed up. So it's still fun to see the root of all the problems and then to try and solve it. So very satisfying indeed once you get that, and once the traffic has dissolved and everything is flowing again. So that's the best feeling, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And would there be anything that you maybe don't like as much about the game?
That is always something, right? I think
Yeah.
I understand the reason why, especially at the time that the game came out. It's probably also not something that most of the people will think about, but the hard limits on, for example, citizens instance, on the number of trees, number of pathways, all the hard limits that the game has. And I think this is quite annoying most
Mm-hmm.
often than not.
Mm-hmm.
One of the challenges that I have with that and why I don't like it that much is because, in theory, the bigger your city, the harder it should get to manage. But when you hit those hard limits, for example, the number of citizens you can have in the city, you get to a point where the more you build, the more sparse your population is.
Yeah.
So you end up having less traffic, you end up having less issues everywhere. And it just feels like you have a ghost town all of a sudden. This is something that's not really nice, especially when you're dealing like with huge cities. And I do like to build like the biggest cities that I can. So this is something that annoys me quite a lot. And I think the only other thing that I would say, it's okay. It's not the best. It's the music of the game. I don't think anything beats Sin City yet in terms of music. I,
Okay.
I, I'm really looking forward for what comes out on City Skylines
For
2.
cities too,
But
yeah.
for now, yeah, for now, I think the jazz on Sin City is just so good to play the game. It's just like gets you in the
Yeah.
zone
Yeah.
and you spend hours on it. It's just like so fantastic. It's not that it's bad. It's just okay.
Fair, fair. I mean, I've never played SimCity, right? So I don't know the music there. I've never listened to the music,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
love the radio stations in City Skylines. I mean, not all of them equally, but there are some.
yeah.
I have some favorites, of course. But yeah, I really, really enjoy the music there. But yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah,
think,
it's enjoyable. I change the stations from time to time as well to keep it a little bit fresh and
yeah.
not as repetitive. But I think I don't know why, but I think the music from Sin City, it's one of those musics that, well, they had quite a lot of musics in there. Wasn't just like one music playing on
Okay.
repeat. But when you play the game as much as you do, any music that you start like hearing again and again and again, it starts to get annoying after some
Mm-hmm.
point. And the music in Sin City, it wasn't that. Like you could keep that on repeat, and you sometimes you wouldn't even notice that it was the same music playing. And it was just like a perfect match. I don't know if it's because I like jazz as well, or I don't know what it
Yeah.
is, but
So it just
it
never
was
got
so good.
boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. I mean, of course, sometimes I just like to turn the sound of the game off when I'm playing, if I when I ever play offline without creating content around it, and just
Yeah.
turn on some music that I really enjoy, and just put some headphones in and just jam out to that and just do some city building without the in-game music. That works. That works too, right? So yeah, that's also something
Yeah.
I really love to do.
Yeah, I'm more impressed that you actually still find time to play it offline without creating content. But yeah,
As I said, if I
if
don't, I like right as of now with all the dev diaries, dev insight videos dropping, I don't know. I think the last time I opened my game was for the Skyline 6 collaboration build. I'm very, no, wait, no, I had like a live stream last Sunday. I think I played in my lightly modded city there as well. But
yeah,
it's like, yeah, it's
it's
barely
been
any
hard.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, barely time.
yeah,
really difficult to find the time to play the game.
It is, yeah. I got your point. Just again, going on a side note here from our conversation, but I got your point where I do have a full time job, right? So I do have a 40-hour week
Yeah.
daily job that I go to, and I think it was last year. I got your point where I was spending 40 hours on that job and between 35 to 40 hours and sometimes a little bit more per week just on creating
Oh
content.
wow.
It can get insane. Like, if anyone wonders why I'm not putting out so many videos as I did before, that's the reason. Like, you can't keep up that for too long. I was doing that for 2 years straight, and I had one video a day going
Whoa,
out.
that's
And yeah,
crazy.
for 2 years, one video a day. And that is not just like a video on one channel. It is one long format video on YouTube and plus one TikTok plus one YouTube shorts a day. Basically like 3 videos a day going out. And it's just
Wow.
like insane. And I'm glad that I stopped doing that. But I'm still putting in my perspective a lot of things out there. And with the new Dev Diaries, I'm kind of struggling to keep up a little bit, and I've reduced the content again. So at the moment, what I'm doing is weekly my City Skylines build, and then I do a review of the Dev Diary, and then I use this content to create my content for TikTok and Shorts, and then I can split that into more bite-sized content for those platforms, which works a little bit better in there. So there's a lot of planning and actually learnings on how to optimize your time in there and how you actually make all that work. But it's still like it's something that I like. So I don't often talk about it because I don't want this sounding like a complaint or that I'm not enjoying the process. I do enjoy it, but I also sometimes have to remember that I have a life outside the channel, you know?
Yeah. I 100% understand that. Like last year I went hard on YouTube, right? And I put out like 2 videos per week and daily shorts, daily TikToks, of course. I started
Yeah.
Instagram, and it's that was super difficult for me to keep up with. I got it, right? So I didn't miss a single video and no short,
Yeah.
I didn't miss a TikTok, but with my I also like 40 hours a week of work, wife and child. You want to carve out time for them, of course, enough time, right?
Yes.
And so it was like, oh my God, that was so difficult. And like start of this year, like drastic changes for me. And again, this is going severely off topic, but I think it just fits to this little conversation here because I cut down my work hours from 40 to 32 hours, not for,
Yeah.
creating content, but, for work-life balance and, taking better care of the child, for after school and stuff like that. And I decided to only upload one video per week on YouTube. So I was like, okay, going away from quantity now and trying to make better quality because now I have
Exactly.
all this time. Yeah. And that worked. It was like, oh my God, that was such a relief, to being like, okay, I don't have to do like every day, the short clips and,
Hmm.
and 2 videos per week on YouTube, like full length videos. It was like one tips and tricks video and one like just gameplay, let's play a build along type video. And that was hard. That was really hard to keep up with. So I can't imagine you're
Yeah.
saying you like did a video per day. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that like for 2 years straight. That's insane
Yeah.
amount of work. So it's like, yeah, I quickly, let's just quickly go into this, right? Before we go back to the city skylines topic. But
Yeah.
it's like, I always find it funny when people think like, oh, you're doing YouTube. Yeah. So that's easy. You just play a game, right? And I'm like, you
Hmm.
have no idea. You have no idea how difficult it is to, the time management to set up your proper workflow so everything works in your favor, right? So you don't work
Yeah,
against time, but you work with time. And then, like, the right amount of content, the thought that goes into the videos, the titles, the thumbnails, the ideas, everything. You got to keep everything up to date. And that's just
yeah,
one platform. Like, and then you got to go on other social media platforms and be active, like, everywhere. And
everywhere.
I just try to convince, but people don't get convinced. People that don't have an idea, that don't talk to YouTubers or content creators or don't watch as much
Yeah,
content, they're just like, oh, YouTube, right? So you're just playing a game and people watch. And I'm like, well,
is
that's very, very, very basic. It's a lot of work. Like,
yeah.
nobody
You do.
can believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, you do go out and you plan your game. Like it's not just sitting there and just like wing it. Most
Yeah.
of the times
Yeah.
have a plan. You do have to think about SEO because if you don't know this, but SEO also works with the words that you say in your video. So if you're saying something at the beginning of your video and you're using those words in your title, that helps your SEO as well. So you are a marketing specialist, you are a
Yeah.
designer, you are a presenter, you are a gamer, you are being trying to be sociable. Most of us are actually introverts, and we are not very sociable. So we have to put ourselves
Yes.
out there more and
Yes.
more. So that's so much work, and I think like even put that amount of work in there. For I think I'm with you. Like before, for me, it was quantity, but it wasn't just quantity for the sake of numbers. It was quantity for me to understand how I can optimize myself and my flow the best as I can. I'm very competitive as well, and I would challenge myself to do more and do better. But
Hmm.
it was after I've optimized one of the flows, for example, let's say video editing, I would then work on the sound. And then after I think I had some improvement in there, I would think about how I actually pass the information. As I mentioned before, for me, it was just like, I'm putting this down, putting that down, and this is not good for
Yeah.
anyone. And then in providing that amount of content and in so much content in that time frame, I was able to actually explore different areas and move quicker between those smaller details and things like thumbnails and how to create better thumbnails, how to create better titles, how to put myself out there more and
Hmm.
things like that. And after I think I got to a point where I was more comfortable, I also felt comfortable in toning that down and actually thinking more about the just quality and reduce on quantity because that wasn't as important to me as well. It's not just obviously there was the time factor that was I had to turn that down a little bit,
Yeah.
otherwise I would be completely burned out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it was the right time to tone that down and to reduce the amount of content and explore a little bit more options and different ways of doing things. And I'm enjoying the process. There is still a lot that I have to learn. I have some tics that I keep doing on my videos that I hate myself for doing it, and I'm trying really hard to eliminate them. And like that is always something for you to get better. And that's what I'm trying to do at the moment. So reduce quantity, improve quality, keep doing what I've done before, in focusing on one area at a time, and trying to get the best that people in my community are actually wanting to see or that they're more interest in seeing in my channel. So I think it all ties up. Like it's not just about myself. I do have to enjoy the process, but I do think quite a lot about the community and what they're asking and what they're wanting to see as well. But yeah, that ends my my loop outside the flow there.
Okay, nice, nice. I love that. I love to talk about this kind of stuff with fellow creators, so that's pretty nice. But okay, let's get back to
Yeah.
City Skylines. What is something that you struggle the most with in the game, Cello?
And well, definitely highway interchanges. I think
Okay.
I take ages to do. Like I always take an awful lot of time to create a single small interchange. And most of the times I'm very, well, I'm not pleased about the end result. And I think there is a reason for that. Is just I don't like highway interchanges in
Yeah.
general. I think
Yeah.
there are some quite interesting ones that I even like try to just improve myself. I did a series on YouTube and on TikTok where I was building real life interchanges, and I was just taking suggestions on the comments and building the craziest things that could come up. I think that helped me a little bit with the skills to build those interchanges. But I still don't like how many roads you have like going on top of each other, and how that actually connects to that part of your city. And most times I don't like elevated roads as well, but I confess that I already did like some really cool things with them in some of my previous builds.
Yeah.
But it's not my go-to because I don't feel like they are something pleasant to see if you live in the city. And I don't like to see that in real cities as well, so I don't like to build it. It's kind of where I am, but it takes me like a lot of time because I want to get it looking good. I want it to be symmetrical. I want it to have like that nice curve, that nice exit, that it looks this way, and it's just not something that's weird in there that doesn't look like it fits. So I waste so much time building that. It's ridiculous. So I think that's the thing that I struggle the most in the game. I can't think of
Fair.
anything else that might be harder for me than that.
I fully understand that. So
Yeah,
do you have any memorable moments or achievements from playing the game?
I think I do have one actually that I would like to share, which
Yes, please.
is also something that there's a lot of people that struggle with this, but let me talk about it. I think one of the things that I remember the most is when I actually moved away from grid-only cities, and I was finally pleased with the results. Wasn't just moving away from the grid; is actually be uh, actually like the end result of your build. And I think there was a moment of satisfaction in there. There was like a light bulb moment as well. On it's like, oh, this is how actual cities
Yeah.
look, and in like most of the world. And then I went on an extreme side of the builds where I just built organic road layouts, like nothing else, no grids at all, anywhere. And I played like that for a while, and then now I brought that back and I built a little bit more realistic, where some areas where it makes sense, it's a grid. Some areas where it makes sense, it's a more organic road layout. And when you put those two together, it looks really good and looks a lot more realistic, and it makes a huge difference on how your city looks. And I think this was kind of the moment where I finally realized, okay, my cities are not that boring anymore. It's not
Mhm.
just a copy and paste of what everyone usually do, which is a bunch of grids, put everything in there. Traffic's a nightmare because you have like four-way intersections everywhere, and it doesn't look unique. It doesn't look realistic. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like anything. It's just a grid. So I think moving away from that was when like I felt in love with the game, and I realized that you can do a lot more. You don't need to optimize the space. I think that was the thing for me. I
Yeah.
use grids because I use every single square of the game, and then we have a building there that won't be like a single space where there is nothing. And I was so wrong. Like, give your city space to breathe. Give some areas where you have empty space and let yourself be creative to build on those areas, because that's what really makes the difference. And
Hmm.
I really like the results in there when you do that, basically.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. That's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, nice little light bulb moment there. How you described it, I like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
So, Cello, how do you go about starting a new city? Like, there's players that do lots of planning, and there's players just like me, that just pick a map and then just, start. What type of player are you? How do you do that?
I'm a mix of both approach. Like I'm an
Oh,
in between. So I
okay.
do a little bit of planning. I do sometimes, well, most of the times when I start a new city, I have basic idea where I want things to go. So for example, I have a rough idea that airport will go on this side, that a university might go on that side,
Mm-hmm.
that this might be an industrial area, or that I might need to build or extend the highway here to connect this place to that place. But that's as much planning I do before starting the city. What then I like to do? I like to start based on those concepts that I had before,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to leave always room for being creative, and I'm always open to change things along the way as well. So I usually try a lot of different ideas based on community feedback and suggestions that I receive on my videos or on Discord. And I think that keeps me challenged along the build and keep things interesting as well, because cities are like that. They are always changing. You build something that might not be working, and I'm not afraid of going there and changing things and making it better, or changing my initial plan of, oh, I want to have this airport here because
Mm.
that's a highway connection, and that is closer to the cargo, to the industry area, and then I have a cargo station there as well. But then someone gives a suggestion, oh, but then what about building like amusement park in that area, because that would look pretty cool, being like on the having a key and that overlooking the river or the sea. And I was like, you know what, that might look really cool. And then like the challenge is, how do I get everything that I want to get in
Yeah.
there, in and like how do I replan the city to make things fit together again? And this is challenging, but at the same time, this is a realistic as well, because not things not always go as you initially plan. And I start changing all that approach and changing how I do this. And I think having the idea help you give your city direction, especially at the beginning when you just have empty space and you want to start like with something in mind so you don't get completely lost on what you're doing. But as the city grows, I'm more and more open to be just creative and just do what the time needs, or most often than not, that is a new DLC or content creator pack, and that
Yeah.
becomes the new area. That's what I'm focusing on, and I could never have planned for that because I didn't even know that was a new DLC coming for the game. So I think it's a little bit of both. Initial planning at the beginning, just so I'm not completely lost
Mm-hmm.
when I'm trying to start the city. And then along the way, making accommodations, getting feedback, and using some suggestions or some ideas from the community to make it even better.
Nice. I like that. Very, very nice. We already talked a bit about mods and all that stuff. What do you prefer, modded or vanilla?
Oh, definitely modded.
Definitely modded.
Yeah, I'm a modded player nowadays, and I struggle to go back. I think it's been like years since I last played without mods.
Oh, okay.
And thinking back, I think it was 2019 when I built my cities on console and my first city on PC as well. Well, not the first, but when I had a proper PC that I could build it.
Yeah.
But um, after that, and as I mentioned, I started watching Sambar and getting these ideas, understanding how and why would be a nice idea to have some mods. And I started using that. I never looked back. Like all my cities were modded since then. And I'll be honest, I really enjoy the flexibility that they give you and the creativity that they allow you to work with. I went on a path before that was extremely heavy in mods and assets, and I had, I think, 50,000 assets in the
Oh
game.
my God.
And yeah, the game would take like ages to load, and it was like really annoying. I had to think twice before if I do I really want to record anything today because like it would take me around 15 to 20 minutes to load the game.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, it was bad like that. And like several mods that I'll be honest, I didn't need that for anything. I just like to have the mod in there if I needed something.
Just in case, yeah.
But yeah, exactly. And then what I decided to do, I was like, you know what? I will nuke everything, delete all the assets, delete all the mods, and I'll start adding that slowly back in, but just what I need to use. I won't just add things because I think they're cool and I might use it. I will just add what I might need to use.
Okay.
And nowadays, like I have a stable list of mods and very, very few assets that I actually use. So
Yeah.
it makes my life a lot easier.
I can believe that. What are your top 5 mods of all time? Can you name 5, or is that number too low?
Uh, well, that's definitely a very low number for my list of, I think I have 60 or 58 or something like that. I'm looking at my list now. I have
Wow.
61 mods enabled in the game. So, but yeah, I can name some, a few of them. Most of them everyone will be familiar with. And if we're talking like about the top, we can go without traffic manager. I think this unlocks whole new layer in the game where you can actually get your traffic to work and not actually kill your city because you can't move enough goods for where they need to go. Node controller, it's a big one for me because you might have noticed when I was talking about highway interchange that I like to get things in a way that they look nice. A node controller allows me to get every intersection looking a little bit better, especially with the slope function in there. That like it looks like you are supposed to look, not just flat in the junction. And everything else connects to that, right? Find it, I use it all the time to, well, find stuff in the game. I'm usually terrible to find things in menus, especially if they are assets. So I use find it all the time. And to complement that, I use picker quite a lot because I usually know where things are in my city. So if I need something, it's much easier for me to use picker and click on a road that I have than actually open the menu and trying to figure out where that road actually is. So I use that quite a lot.
Yeah.
The fifth one would be load screen mods that I think my games wouldn't run without loading screen mods at the moment with the amount of mods and things that I have in there.
Fair.
I currently have 1,400 assets as well that I use. So optimizing memory and loading time, it's something that I don't think we could live without with this amount of mods that we use. There are more. Obviously, I haven't spoken about like Move It that I definitely use quite a lot. Forest Brush, Network Multitool, Network Anarchy, like there's
so many. There's just so many. I know I might have to rethink the number 5, but I just think it's like fun to make everyone I talk to really work for their answer and think about it.
Yeah, and think about it. I'm annoyed that I didn't include Move It in that list now.
Move It is a really, really good one. Yeah, it's tough for me. I guess it would be Move It TMPE for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really tough. Find It is super, super useful, so that could be good. I do like Node Controller, honestly. I do like Node Controller.
Yeah.
And
intersection marking tool might be one as well.
It's a good one too, yeah. But I think the last one I would go with is, either Network Multi-Tool or maybe Network Anarchy, though. That might be better.
Yeah. We use that without even thinking that we are using that.
Right?
At this stage. Yeah.
That's so true. That's so true. Sometimes I catch myself just, trying to anarchy, and I was like, oh, wait, no. When I do a build where I don't have that mod, and I'm like, oh, wait, nope, Okay. Yeah, automatic. As you said, it's like automatically I try to use it. So that's kind of interesting
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
don't even think it's there anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, Cello, what do you think about the DLCs and content creator packs? Have those been keeping the game interesting? And do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I think they certainly add a lot more variety and
Yeah.
introduce sometimes new ways to play. I would love to see a bigger impact on gameplay though when you have new DLCs, especially because some of them are just about adding stuff to the game that just helps you make more money. And it's fun to have like things like hotels or
Hmm.
financial districts, but it doesn't actually change how you play the game. Like they don't introduce, for example, snowfall that gives you trends in City
Oh, right.
Skylines,
Yeah.
like things that actually really add something that might help you change how you play the game. And I think with that said, I do believe they play a very big role, especially for console players to get new content. You can't get it any other way on console. On PC, we're spoiled that we have other options to add mods, add assets, all from the workshop. And sometimes we don't even think about it. But for console, this is the only way they get like
Yeah.
highways with 4 lanes, like which until recently they didn't have. And I've been playing with that like since 2019, 2020. I think they do keep things interesting. They keep adding more variety to the game. And as we know, real cities, they don't have a lot of repetition. When there are repetitions,
Mm.
they are very thought of, and there is a reason for that. Or sometimes it's an eye-catching thing, or it's an architectural thing, or like that. There's a reason for repetition.
Yeah, true.
But usually you have a bunch of random things, and especially the content creator packs, they add quite a lot of value into that. And not to mention that they are a really nice way to recognize asset creators as well. It's a way for them to, I believe, they get part of the revenue from the sales of these packs, and I think it's fantastic. It's the developers at Paradox Colossal Order recognizing the value that they bring to the community
Yes.
and paying back for what they are doing to the game, because I don't think this game would be what it is today without the modders and the asset creators.
Hmm. 100%
But
agreed. Yeah.
but with that said, in terms of favorites, I think you asked me as well. I do have a few, but I think the main one would be Park Life, and
Oh.
followed by the plazas and promenades. There's a reason for that. Park life, especially, my builds are, although I most often I don't talk about this, they usually a lot of focus in kind of integrating the city with nature, and also providing good ways for people to move around the city. So that's where Plaza and Promenades comes in later on. But park life actually provides you with so many options in terms of assets, especially trees, and ways to
Hmm.
provide entertainment to the city in using nature, like creating the parks and especially the nature reserve, even the city park. Like you have some really nice options in there. The zoo, it's quite nice as well. And I use this everywhere. Like I use these assets everywhere in the city, and they are for me. They made things look more like I think cities should be.
Yeah.
And for pleasant promenades, well, that is the pedestrian pathways where you can actually zone things. Which, by the way, we don't need that anymore for City Skylines too, which is fantastic. But
So true.
having that option to actually eliminate car traffic at all from a specific area of the city and focus only on pedestrians, again, that was for me a game changer in how I play in certain areas of the city, especially areas like downtown. It's you're I can see nowadays a lot of moves from real cities to, or reduce speed limits up
Hmm.
to, I've seen 30 kilometers per hour in downtown areas around where I live here in Australia. And some areas is just pedestrian only, not cars are not allowed anymore. So this is a movement from the cities to make it more pedestrian friendly and to make sure that people use more public transportation and that those areas are safer for people to actually just walk around and do whatever they want. And utilizing that in my cities, I think that make a big difference as well. Because before would use a lot of pathways and everywhere. And now I can actually build the areas that I want to build with just pedestrian roads
Yeah,
and
yeah.
have the buildings that I would usually have in other areas. So that was a big change on how I play the game, and that's why I like those two the most.
That is so cool. I love Plazas and Promenades. That's a great DLC. That is my favorite. I love Park Life as well, right? But the Plazas and Promenades with the pedestrian areas, yeah, the roads that we
Yeah.
got, the wall to wall building specialization, how the looks of
Yes,
all of that. That's so, all of the parks that come with it, all of the props that you can use now, so good. It's just my
it
absolute
is.
favorite. Yeah, but I also love park life. I do like to create a nice park every now and again. So that is
Yeah.
cool. That is really cool to me too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like I create parks. If I can, every single episode that I do, I'll create a park.
If it's possible, just create parks. Sounds
Yes,
good.
exactly.
Sounds good. So, Cello, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges for new or even experienced players in City Skylines?
Oh, that's a big one. I, based on feedback from especially new players, let's start with the new ones. I believe is the how to actually start your city and how to create like a functional city
Mm-hmm.
with the right balance of services, zoning, and traffic. I think those are the main things that people usually come to me asking tips on how they can even start really a
Yeah.
new city. And that are ways for you to do it. What I usually see people doing quite a lot is just rushing through the build and trying to create big cities in just a few minutes. And this is the fastest way for you to go bankrupt and like destroy your city.
Yeah.
Because what you should understand is that although not like the new City Skylines 2, in City Skyline 1, there is still things that affects other things. So for example, adding more population creates a necessity for industry, that creates necessity for commercial,
Yeah.
that creates necessity for population, and then it becomes like a cycle. And building too fast, too much
Oh,
of just one of those, it's unbalanced things. And then people come to me and say, oh, why my commercial is complaining that I don't have enough educated workers. It's like, yeah, because you added too many people and too many commercial at the same time. And now all your workforce is not educated yet. You have to wait.
yeah.
So you have those things where you need to wait for the game to actually balance, and then you build and balance and you build and balance and you build. And the other point to that is in terms of services, people see that, oh, my education for elementary school is on the red. I need to put more. And then they put like 3 or 4 buildings all in the same area. And it's like, oh, now I have enough capacity. But why they're still complaining about it? It's because like you don't need as many in one single place. You need to spread that around and just add it when you expand your city as well. It's not about just adding buildings all together in the same area.
Yeah.
You just need to spread services so you can actually avoid people driving to get to there and then like reducing the amount of traffic you have as well. And like things like that is one of the ones that I think are the biggest challenge for new players.
Mm-hmm.
And they're easy after you understand that. I think it's common people having those issues because like there's not much of an onboarding to the game.
Yeah.
And for people that are not used to city builders, for us that we just play city builders, it's very easy to get a new game and understand what you should do because the mechanics or what is expected is always very similar.
Yeah.
But for new players that are not used to this, it's very hard to understand how to actually like make things function. But this is for new players. For experienced, it's harder. I know that everyone loves to talk about traffic, but I'll be honest, I don't think that's the biggest challenge for everyone. I think what I see most often than not happening is that people overdoing with workshop assets. And it's a mistake that I've made before. And that's why I'm talking about this, because this starts to become a problem as your city grows. You start seeing these cool assets. Every time you open the workshop, that is like the highlights of the new or most downloaded assets in the game. And you look at that, oh, this is pretty cool. I could use that. And you download it. And then all of a sudden, you can't find anything in the game. If for myself, like that, I already have problems looking at the menu and finding things in the base game. Adding assets, it makes my life a lot harder. So it starts to get hard to find things. Although you say, can you find it? But yeah, it's still, you need to know the names of everything.
Yeah.
And then the game starts to getting slow. And that is a lot of times that I see people saying, my game broke because of an asset that I use.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, most often than not, is people downloading everything that they see. And like there is no filter about what they actually need for the city. And you end up with things that you don't really need. And sometimes you have too much, and for you to find which asset broke in your game. Like if you remember what I said, I had 50,000.
Yeah.
Right now I have 1,400. It's still a big number.
That is,
for me to find if something breaks, it takes a lot of time and it's not an enjoyable experience. So I would say the challenge for the experienced players is not about the game itself. It's about what they use from the workshop. It's like, don't try to not overdo it. Think carefully and go have a laser focus on what you need. I think that's the way to go.
Oh yeah, that's a good answer actually. I like that. Yeah. And Tchelow, can you share some secrets on making your cities look more beautiful?
Well, if you're following my channel, you know the answer for that. It's pretty simple for me. Just add one more tree.
One more tree. I like that. I tend to do that myself.
And after 20 minutes, it just repeats that.
I really like that. Yeah. I mean, trees make everything better, right?
They do, yeah. It become an internal joke in my channel because, especially during live streams, I like sometimes at the end of the live stream, I just add one more tree here and we will finish the live stream. And 20 minutes later, I'm still adding trees everywhere. And it's like, I never finish. So it ended up becoming a mantra and a joke at the same time. But like jokes aside, they definitely add quite a lot of dynamic to your city, but also play with shapes. I think this is something that often overlooked. And when I say play with shapes, I'm talking about road layouts, parks, decoration. Like you don't need to follow a pattern everywhere in your city. That pattern could be grid, but that pattern could be just rounded areas or a rounded city with just roundabouts. But try to break those patterns with different shapes as well. If you're building a gridded area, it's fine if you only want to do that, but try to, at some point, build the grids in an angle, and then when you actually join those parts together, you find some more interesting shapes in the game, and that will look a little bit nicer for you as well. Something else, fill the gaps between the buildings, especially like in builds like I do, where I have a lot of organic road layouts. you do end up with a lot of gaps between buildings, and especially in the middle of them, there is always a space where I don't have any squares for buildings to grow. And what I do, I go in there, fill the gaps. Usually, yeah, there are trees. And as I mentioned, I really like that vibe of the trees and trying to bring that nature part of the city. Where I live, I have like so many trees in my block only. Looks like I'm in a forest just where my house is. Everywhere else, there's
Yeah.
nothing. But this brings like so many birds and so many native life as well. That's why I do it. But it also looks good, and you don't have those empty space anymore between your
Mm-hmm.
buildings. And also practice, try different things, repeat what you like, throw away what you don't. Don't be afraid to demolish and rebuild as well. In doing that, you'll be able to see what works for you and what you feel like looks good or is the right thing for you to build that you'll be proud of. And that's how you get better at building and making things nicer. What is beautiful for me might not be for you. What works for me might not work for you. So it's more about your personal quest to find what works well for you and what feels like. Sometimes we build things that we want to feel like home, and this is what I try to do. And I'll also go a little bit further and try to build things that I wanted that home for everyone should be. And obviously, like it's just a dream of mine, and what's a dream for everyone is different. But in adding things like that, playing with shapes, you start practicing different ways of building, and you start finding your unique ways to make things look better. But definitely, I think if it's just, I know that I'm rambling quite a lot, but if it's just one thing that you need, try to fill those gaps between buildings, add some bench, some planters, some trees, some bushes, and try to decorate things a little bit better. Don't need to decorate every single building, but you'll see that when you put some of the major buildings in the game, you usually have some empty space around them that you can play around a little bit, add some trees, some flowers, things like that, and things will start to get more interesting for you.
I really like that. So, of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? That
Yeah.
right off the bat. So what's nice to me might not be nice to you, and vice versa. But I do like that, the detailing aspect. That's also my approach on trying to make cities more beautiful. So yeah, that works. That
Yeah.
works pretty good. I like that. Let's
Nice.
talk. Let's briefly talk about collaborations in City Skylines, because there are collaborations in City Skylines where multiple builders get together to create one city on a map, which can be seen as sort of a multiplayer mode in City Skylines. It's essentially a save game pass around, and there are a bunch of collabs out there. The most prominent one probably being the 5 Builders 1 City by Zardus, and there's also the Skyline 6 Tchelow, which you are also a guest builder in, which is really, really cool. What do you think about these collaborations, and how is your experience so far with the Skyline 6 collaboration?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that's something fantastic. I'll be honest. I've been. It's funny because both Jimmy or on YouTube, El Dimitrios, and I have been talking about do a collaboration together for some time now, and
Oh.
we end up both being guests on the Skyline 6. And I was like, yeah, it's time for us to stop talking about it and actually build together somewhere, right? And I think that was a nice surprise, and I'm really happy to be invited to do this. But first, I would love to talk about like the why I like this type of builds. I think what's intriguing about this is that when you look at the individual styles of every single builder on these types of collaboration, you see that they are completely different, and you can't see looking at every individual city that each one built how this could all work together. And when you're building in a collaboration like this, it's interesting to see how those things they add to each other's build. They don't actually feel apart, but they feel like a city that's growing through time, and at each period of time they have a different architecture, a different style, a different need. And this, when you build it like that, it feels to me that that's how you're building, and you everything that you build end up being something very unique. And what I like about that is that I potentially wouldn't think about some things that were built in the city before me or after me. And when I look at that, I was like, oh, that's actually a really cool idea. I might consider incorporating that into my buildings as well. And that starts like turning that creative gear around and making you think in different ways and getting yourself open for new ways of doing things as well. Because sometimes you just get stuck in your way, and it's hard to get out of that. And this provides you that push to try to do better, to try to create different things, to try to keep up with the work that everyone does. Because I'll be honest, on Skyline 6, all the builders there, not just the crew, but the guest builders, I'm a big fan of every single one of them. And that is, I feel like that pressure of, I need to do my best to be able to keep up with the work that they're doing. But
Yeah.
at the same time, as I'm watching the city develops until my turn comes, which, by the way, I believe my turn will be on the following weekend from when you release this episode of the podcast. So I will probably be building my own city at that time. And but what I love to see is that every time I see the next piece being built, I start having new ideas on how I could shape what I had in mind to build on my area.
Yeah.
And my what I'm thinking about building right now, although there are some components are still the same from the beginning, they are already completely different, because I think, oh, I have this that I can use in my favor. Flyvox built that, and Dimi is building this, and Joy built this other thing, and I can tie all these things together in this area like this, and I can bring my style to that as well. So it's really, really cool to do something like that. And not just that, I also felt like I was the whole team that's building on the Skyline 6, talking about my personal experience on this one, have been very welcoming and very supportive, and they made me feel very, very comfortable in doing the best I can and in keeping my own style when joining this group to build the city. And like I'm extremely excited about this. I was talking to Dimi yesterday, and we are talking like how are you doing, Dimi? Because like I'm so excited that I feel like I might screw this up. And he was like, oh, I'm the same. Like I'm about to start my build, and I'm so stressed about getting this right or doing my best. And like we are loving the process. It's what we want to do as well. And you all are giving us the opportunity to do what we do best. And it's been like a very, very enjoyable experience from the inside and from the feedback that we are getting from the viewers as well. It seems like all the viewers are enjoying the outcome and how these very different styles are all coming together. And this is like, I'll be honest, it's looking pretty cool, and I'm really proud of what we have so far. And I really want to make sure that I can push it even further, so everyone is really happy with what we have at the end. But yeah, been really, really nice experience so far, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot more to come in this collaboration until the end. There is a lot of builds to happen still, And yeah, I'm keen. That's been really lovely.
Very, very nice. Yeah, let me just do a quickly shameless plug here. If anybody has any questions about this collaboration or the Skyline 6, or just want to talk about City Skylines in general, head on over to the City of Friends Discord. It is linked in the description below. It is a joint Discord that I run with 4 other amazing builders, the Skyline 6 crew, and we would love to have you to come by and hang out and just chat about, City Skylines, collabs, anything. We're there usually on a regular base, and it is tons of fun. But Tchelow, we have been recording for almost 2 hours, which is really amazing. It's so much fun chatting with you. And I have one more question for you. Are there any quick tips you could give to new players?
Well, I think I get a lot of questions on TikTok and YouTube. So there is a lot of tips that I usually do for everyone that are very popular. And most often than not, the best tip to create like a prosperous city is what I was mentioning before, is to have patience and build slowly. Most people also don't like that answer because they do want that city to grow faster, and they want to, like they're playing, they want to, most of the times we are thinking that playing the game is actually putting buildings down, zoning, adding roads and parks and entertainment, airports. But playing this game is also about finding the balance. So what I usually say is that while you are having the patience to wait for things to balance out and you're building slowly, find other things that you can do to improve how your city might look. Like, for example, adding those trees or those details, which is something that people also tells me, oh, your city looks great, but I will never spend as much time as you do detailing all of this. You would be surprised that I don't spend as much time on that as you might think, because I do it while I'm building. So I built this new neighborhood and I need all the buildings to grow and level up. So what I'm doing in between is I'm removing the vanilla crosswalks and I'm adding crosswalks with intersectional marking tools. I'm adding trees, I'm adding flowers, details, and making sure that the traffic is set up right and that I have proper lane mathematics and all that sort of stuff I'm doing while I'm waiting and being patient about my city actually balancing, especially when I do something big. Like when you are more experienced, you can do big builds all at the same time because you know more or less how that will impact your city. But even when I do that, I do give it time after I finish to things to balance out and for me to understand how my city is performing. Like, do I now need way too much commercial, or I've added actually too much commercial and I need a lot more people to fill the jobs, or because of that I need more goods and I need more industry. So this helps you understand what you need and what you need to build next. So this also gives you an understanding on what services you might need to build next. And that's another tip. Don't keep adding way too many services without knowing actually where your city is at that moment. Build something, wait, add the services that that area needs. And as you get more experience, you notice that you usually have a set of buildings that would work well in specific areas. For example, your industry will need more fire stations for them to be happy, or more cargo connections for them to level up. Your residential need more schools, and maybe you need more hospitals or healthcare. And so take the time to see what are the needs when you're building the city. This will make you a lot less stressed, first and foremost, but it will also give you a much better, enjoyable experience within the game, and you'll be able to keep going with your city for a much longer time. You won't lose your city. And final tip that I would like to give is, well, actually two more. Increase your taxes to 12% as soon as you unlock taxes in the game. That gives you more money. That's where people, usually new players, struggle the most in getting that income coming. And add plenty of public transportation to help with your traffic. Your city will work much better with public transportation than just relying on roads and cars for it to survive. Just add as much as you can. Obviously, be conscious about like adding 2 bus lines that go the same way doesn't help you at all. But add like really connecting your city in multiple places by using public transportation. And I think that's about it in terms of quick tips for new players.
Nice tips. I don't have anything to add to that. Yo, Tchelow, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for accepting my invitation. This was a ton of fun. I had a blast.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really had a very good time. I was a little bit anxious about having this chat, but I think it went pretty well, and it's been a very enjoyable 2 hours or so. Where you spend a lot
Yeah.
more time than we actually organized, but it was really, really nice to chat with you and share a little bit of the experience that I had with the game, and obviously with Skylines too. That's coming very, very soon. We'll have a lot more to share in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, anytime you feel like having a chat, just invite me and I'll be there. Thank you very much.
100%. I just might take you up on that. Thank you so much. Tchelow, let the audience know, where can we find you? You're on YouTube, TikTok, you already mentioned. Do you have like a web page or something?
Yeah, so all my socials are linked on my website, tchelow.com. You can also find me on Twitter, as I mentioned, on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Discord. So I'm almost everywhere here and there, really. And feel free to reach out, to have a chat, and just say hi. Sometimes it's all we need, but I'm more than willing to help anyone out, to welcome. I think I'm really glad that I'm not just talking about my own community or my own channels, but City Skylines community in general are very supportive and welcoming. So please share your struggles, ask for help, share your cities, share your ideas, suggestions. They're all very welcome, and you're more than welcome in my socials as well. And I would love to have you there and to hear from you any tips or suggestions you might have for improving the builds that I do. Because as I always say, the builds that I do is not just for me, it's for you as well. And we build everything together. Although I'm the tool, your ideas are always there. So yeah, feel free to join me anywhere you see me, and you'll be more than welcome. Thank you.
Nice. All right, Tchelow.com will be linked in the description of this YouTube video down below. Everyone, please do me a favor, go check out Tchelow, this amazing creator, and hit him up with anything that you need. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching, for listening in. I really, really do appreciate it. Spread the word, and everyone out there, have a great rest of your day, and please stay safe out there. Bye-bye.
Thank you, and bye-bye.